Robert.
Hello.
Nice to meet you in person. I
In
guess
person.
as
In
close as
person,
can get to.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us. I love your videos. I find them hilarious.
You know the first video I watched from you, and it was because it was on like social media and stuff, was your how to drive a manual.
Yeah, that one kind of blew up on Facebook.
Yeah. It was fantastic. Like now whenever I want to show people like can you teach me how to drive a manual? I'm like, here, you watch this first. It's nice to scare them into it.
I really like making that video. It's a shame it didn't do well on, actual YouTube where
Yeah.
money off of it. But Facebook it did incredibly well.
I saw it. I was like, not another guy trying to teach us how to drive a manual. And then they cut a couple minutes in. I'm like, hold on, something's not right.
He's not another guy. So where are you from, Robert?
I'm from Missouri. Grew up in central Missouri, and I moved very far away to eastern Missouri.
Okay. All right. So Missouri guy.
Some distance there.
How's the whole quarantine stuff treating you over there?
It's really not much has changed for me because I don't leave the house much anyway, and all the essential stores that I typically go to are still open. Not as many hours. I have to go a little bit earlier in the day, but it hasn't really changed much for me. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Well, me and Andrew are in the Bay Area, and Jeffrey's in LA, so we're not enjoying it.
Yeah.
Oh, I imagine not.
Yeah, we can't get out. I went for a drive over the weekend, and if you stop anywhere, there'll definitely be a police guy coming up to you and asking you what you're doing there, and
really,
you should keep moving. And yeah, they're getting kind of strict out here.
Yeah, there's basically no police. There's a few people that have taken to the highways and realized that they have free reign out here. Asked by a couple of people doing 100 miles an hour because there's no cops.
Yeah.
Jeez, the Missouri Autobahn.
Yeah, I actually heard, I was just reading this earlier today. CHP came up with a statistic that it has an increase of 100% of the amount of tickets they've given for people driving over 100 miles an hour.
I saw something on Facebook. They gave out a ticket for someone going 165 on the freeway.
Jeez.
Wow.
Slightly excessive.
Isn't that criminal speeding?
Yeah, you'd probably go to jail for that.
Okay.
So, Robert, we're talking about how I like weird cars.
Mm-hmm.
The other two, not so much.
Not as much as Jeff.
We're more traditional. I'm really into like Japanese, like the Tokyo Drift kind of deal.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm more of the European cars.
Okay.
So I was wondering, Robert,
everything.
if you could talk us through your current stable of cars.
Well, sure. That's pretty easy because I'm actually in my shop right now. Do you want me to take you for a little laptop tour?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
We've got. You just do this. I've got the smart car over here that's been unlicensed for a good while. Got the Trabant from East Germany right here. And this isn't
Jeffrey's
mine,
favorite.
but there's a Nissan Figaro sitting in my shop.
That's amazing.
Over here is the Wego that I've recently pronounced dead because I'm apparently a doctor.
See, if you didn't show us any of those cars, I would have to Google it.
You still might have to Google them.
Yeah, what the hell's a Wego?
So there was a Chinese knockoff of a first generation smart car called the Shuanghua Noble, and there was a company in Georgia that bought several of the body shells from that car and turned them into electric car that they sold in the United States called Wego.
Oh,
That's what it is. A Chinese bodied car with an electric drivetrain.
And they sold it in the U.S.?
Yeah, they sold. Well, this is the highway capable. They sold two versions of it.
Uh-huh.
One was the low speed version that only went like 25 miles an hour. And they sold the highway capable version. And of the highway capable version, they only sold about 100 of them.
Wow.
The company gave up. So
they're not around anymore.
Is that around the time that like they allowed smart cars to also be sold in the U.S.? Because there was a time where like smart cars, you couldn't buy them here, right? Or they weren't allowed to be sold here?
Yeah, I mean, that's the smart car that I have is a first generation one. It wasn't allowed to be. I'm pointing over here off camera, but it's a first generation one that it was a gray import that was it had to be converted to fit the U.S. DOT regulations. So it has different headlights and stuff from the European market ones. Later, the second generations one is the one we got that was officially sold by Mercedes.
Is the Wego company still around?
Yeah, sort of. We're doing autonomous driving stuff. I don't have a clue what they're actually doing, but I called the tech support guy for the Wego car division the other day. He's still around.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I was watching your video about how you did that. I was like, how is this guy still here? What's he helping people?
I'm reasonably sure it's his home phone number that's listed on the website.
And you also have a Trabant,
Mm-hmm.
which has been all around YouTube by now, I think. It's been on Doug's channel. You talked about it on VinWiki. Can you just tell us, Andrew wants to know what a Trabant is.
I also want to know.
Trabant's an East German car. Wasn't the only car you could get in East Germany, but it was pretty much the only car you could get in East Germany. It has a 2-stroke, 2-cylinder air-cooled engine. The body panels are made of cotton and resin. It's similar to fiberglass, but it's stamped together. So they could produce things in high quantity, and it's made out of recycled materials. And it's front-wheel drive, and it's awful.
How strong are those panels? Like, could you theoretically punch through them?
No, they're pretty strong. They're not quite as strong as fiberglass, but I don't know what to compare them to. They're stronger than plastic, like Saturn body panels.
Saturn.
It seems like the typical car from the communist era.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right?
it's a very communist shape about it.
In your videos, you said you just need to put a Trabant in a scene just to make it more communist.
Oh, yeah. That or a Lada. But I think the Trabant does a better job of making it communist than a Lada does.
I've seen your video on how to drive a Trabant, and you must be the most patient guy on the planet.
Maybe. I mean, that's part of what I like about it is that you have to do things to keep it going. I have to constantly, while I'm driving, if I let off the gas sometimes, the engine will just rev up and I have to reach down and choke it a little bit to rein it in a little bit. Manual controls like that all the time.
Talk about a hands-on experience.
Yeah.
So that begs the question, how exactly did you get into like loving cars and more specifically weird cars?
So the first part of that question is easy to answer. Top Gear pretty much got me into cars.
Same with all of us.
Yeah.
As far as weird cars, I said this to Doug DeMuro in his little interview in the video that he made, but he cut it out. I compared it to a drug addiction. Cars are like a drug, and to harder and harder core, I had to go into weirder territories of cars to get my fix.
It's so weird though. Like all these weird cars seem like you were just saying, like you had to choke the engine to bring it back a little bit. Like all of them just seem like a huge pain in the ass, and like it's like the ownership experience doesn't seem very easy.
No.
But
I guess that's part of the enjoyment for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really enjoy. I mean, I enjoy it, but I don't really enjoy fast cars because they're kind of typically they're pretty boring. You drive out, you break the speed limit, you come back home, and then what else is there?
You know, you're actually the perfect person I should talk to, Robert, because I've been telling these guys for the past few days. I have a 2016 M3, fantastic car. It's fast. I feel so confident in it when I'm driving it. Like I can go around this corner. I could probably keep up with a very expensive sports car, but I'm like, I feel so disconnected. Like I just feel like I'm a piece of meat along for the ride in this middle. So I was telling you guys I want a car that makes me just like sets me on fire. Maybe you can tell me with some suggestions.
Well, I have.
Maybe I should go down the weird route. Honestly,
I have some very unusual suggestions for you.
Sure.
If this smart car I had didn't have that horrible transmission, it's an automated manual, and there's like 5 seconds between gear changes. If it didn't have that, it would be phenomenal. So in Europe, they sold a smart roadster, and I imagine that thing was excellent.
I really want one of those.
I don't know what my actual suggestion is for you because you can't get either one of those things. So
Parth, get a Trabant.
Yeah, there we go. That seems like an engaging driving experience.
Yeah, in a different way.
Yeah, in a different way. At least it's more engaging.
Do you still drive that around?
Oh, yeah. Probably like once a month is how often I drive it. But yeah, I definitely still drive it around.
Do you have a daily driver?
Yeah, I have a Fiesta ST.
Oh, nice. How boring.
Trying to make it more interesting. I've gone late on my oil change. So maybe something interesting will happen soon.
Waiting for it to blow up. And it's like, now it's fun.
Yeah.
So is there any other unusual car on your radar that you would like to own soon or you're looking out for?
Yeah, I'm actually looking for a second Trabant, but as far as something different goes, I'm looking at anything French. I'd like a Citroen, either a GS, a CX, or if I could get the budget, a DS. That's what I have my eyes on.
You just said a bunch of letters. In my mind, Jeffrey might know what they are, but
the DS is a super cool car, though. That was like, when was it made? Back in the 60s?
I think it was made in the 60s. I think it was launched in 50 or 51, and it was made until the mid to late 70s.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. I just Googled the DS. I've seen this before.
I've seen this one too.
It ended up having like swiveling headlights sometime down the line.
Yeah, the second generation had swiveling headlights. It also had the complex hydraulic system that controlled the suspension and the brakes, and I think a third thing. Oh, maybe the power steering.
Yeah.
It's all wonderful. And that would be another nightmarish ownership experience, but right up my alley.
Just trying to fix that suspension is going to cost you an arm and a leg.
Yeah, got to use the special green fluid, otherwise it'll leak out and destroy the whole system.
Oh,
Damn.
Lovely.
Wow.
Are these cars hard to find? Like, how hard is it to find another Trabant or like a Citroen DS?
Well, there's a good reason I don't have two Trabants already.
Right.
The Citroen is a little bit easier to find because they did actually sell Citroen DSs in the United States when they were new. But as far as the Trabant goes, I just have fingers in all the groups for Trabant owners in the States.
Okay.
So if one comes up for sale, I usually have at least one person email me about it.
So have you had to import any of your cars, or you just kind of hope to find them somewhere in the U.S.?
Right now, I just hope to find them. I really want to import one in the future. I think I'll start out with Japan, just import a super cheap K truck just to try out the whole thing.
That's awesome.
I would love to have one of those K vans.
Oh, yeah. They're super cheap, too. If you discount the shipping price, which is like $800, give or take, you can get those K trucks for like $200.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
That's insane.
I'm going to go shopping for one after this.
Me too. Yeah. Just because I can.
Are you all familiar with Tavares?
Yeah.
I told him about the website beforward.jp, and within 24 hours, he bought a Honda Beat.
Oh my God. Do the rest of you guys know what a Honda Beat is?
No, I'm gonna look it up right now though.
I've heard of it. I just don't recall what it looks like.
Oh, this thing.
Little tiny sports car.
Oh.
The weird thing is, like, I've seen a lot of these cars, but like it never like registered in my mind what their names are.
That's how I feel about normal or high performance cars.
Right? But see, that's why you need to have people who enjoy all walks of the car community, you know?
Yeah, that's what I appreciate about your channel, because without your channel, would have never known about the city car. Was it that like cheese wedge car?
Your life would have been just as fine.
So that city electric car, how does the throttle work again?
It's a 3-stage contactor switch instead of being like a linear progression. Just 3 stages of on-off switch.
So it's on, more on, and even more on.
And then
I think it's a 36 or a 48 volt battery, and it just changes how the batteries are seriesed up based on the position of the foot pedal. So position 2 and 3 is 24 and 48 volts, I think, and position 1 funnels everything through a resistor. It's just crazy.
Oh my gosh,
that sounds terrifying.
Hilarious though.
Would you want to own one of those?
No. I couldn't take it anywhere.
So are you able to get these cars like all registered and legal to use on the road, or do you kind of have to?
Yeah, I couldn't. If I lived in California, I wouldn't be able to.
That's what I was just going to say, that if you lived here, you wouldn't be able to at all.
Yeah, but I can do it here. All I have to do is pass a safety inspection, and if I don't pass a safety inspection, I get it registered as a historic vehicle, and then anything goes.
Wow. Okay.
But let's not even talk about smog. You know, you don't have to worry about that.
I do have an emissions inspection here, though.
Okay.
Oh, really?
That's the main reason the smart car isn't registered, because I took it in for an emissions inspection, and it jumped the odometer. They just plug in something to the OBD2 port, and it jumped forward the odometer 13,000 miles. So I've been afraid to take it in again.
So how did the Trabant pass the safety inspection?
I don't think they looked at it. It didn't have working headlights when I took it in, but it still passed.
Nice.
I don't know. Not my problem.
Yeah, exactly. There's probably, there's probably only one of these here. We don't have to worry about it too much.
Yeah. And the brakes were leaking. It was a
Oh
mess.
my
It was
God.
running on one cylinder the first time I took it in.
They didn't even bother driving that thing then.
No, he was afraid to. He admitted that when I picked it up.
Should have got him on the record just in case.
No, I get a safety inspection pass. I'm good to go.
Yeah, that's awesome. Obviously, Jeffrey and you are super into weird cars, but me and Parth are more like traditional car people, I guess. Are there any, I guess, non-weird cars that you're really into, or not really?
I mean, yes. I might have to. I really like the E39 M5.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
You know what's great? Like I said, I wanted to find something more engaging, so I was looking for even used cars. And you know what? I always wanted a nice E39 M5 manual V8, one of the last like pure BMWs.
But
And from the 4 years ago, I was looking at it before to now, they've increased in price by like $20,000
oh,
minimum.
What's the going rate for those now?
I saw one in, of course, California. Everything's more expensive, but first of all, there weren't too many for sale compared to when I first looked. One was on sale. It had 37,000 miles, so relatively low miles. No, 81,000 miles, and selling for 37,000. And I could swear just 4 years ago, you could get one for as low as like 11,000.
Yeah, that's the last time I looked. It must have been, because I was looking at them for like 14 to 15 grand in great condition.
Yeah, exactly. And then now all of a sudden, there's like people selling them for like upwards of 30.
Oh,
so
I guess that's on my list.
Yeah. I was just like, I was like, oh, maybe pick one up, work on it during quarantine as a project for like $11K. How could you go wrong, And then I'm like, well, I guess I can, because you can't buy one for 11 anymore.
Well, that's disappointing. My absolute dream car is a Caterham. I don't know. You probably classify that as a weird car, though.
No. That one's I think has enough exposure to be less than weird.
It's reasonably common.
Oh, that okay.
I think I'd get a slightly lower spec version, like a 280, not the whole hog 360. I don't remember the top model.
Would you get it as a pre-built or a kit car?
Kit car. I want to build.
You have to get the kit car. Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
So is YouTubing your full-time job now, Robert? Or
it is, yeah.
So did you just start recording for fun, or like how did you get into making videos for it?
So when I started out, I was trying to make sort of interesting car reviews, kind of in the style of Top Gear. I just wanted to make car reviews that were not boring, and it's just sort of morphed into whatever you would call what I'm doing now.
Yeah,
transitioned over time.
I feel like everybody does that. Like I know me and Jeff that when we in high school started making videos, it was because we wanted to make it like Top Gear, and everybody wants to do that. That's how they just kind of get into it.
It started me doing whatever I'm doing, so not a bad thing. I'm sure it's fantastic for people too.
I guess it's a nice like entry point to like, hey, like this is, you get into it this way, and then you kind of find your own thing along the way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I imagine most people start out on YouTube mimicking or copying someone else, and then they develop their own style over time.
Yeah, definitely. You blew up a car.
Correct. Yes. This speedometer over here is from that car. It was a 2000. I don't remember what year it was. It was a Mitsubishi Lancer.
So these cars that have a rough life with you, the Civic, the Lancer, where do those come from?
Well, the Lancer came from when I was working a real job. It came from my boss's wife, who didn't know what to do with it. She just bought a new car, and she was it had some exhaust or emissions meeting problems or something. It was going to cost a little bit more than the car was worth. So she didn't know what to do with it, and she sold it to a friend of mine for $500, I think. And then I bought it from him for like $300. I didn't know what to do with it, and he okayed me destroying it, so I did.
That's fantastic.
That was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. The Civic was just given to me for free.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I've always wanted a free car.
Yeah.
That I could just mess around with.
Yeah.
What I found in the process of making those videos is that if you don't have a plan, you get bored in 10 minutes, and then you just have a car that you don't know what to do with anymore.
Yeah.
And then you make a fantastic tutorial on to drive a manual transmission.
How did that video come about? Like you just
It just popped in my head, and I started writing one evening.
Yeah. Did you used to do anything before, or you like engineer stuff?
I was a software engineer.
Okay, software engineer.
So you being a software engineer before, and right now what you're doing on YouTube, I am quite jealous of your current tool collection, by the way. Saw today you got a battery-powered caulking gun.
You mean this?
Exactly. So how did you get into all the woodworking, the welding, and
the more hardware engineer side of it?
Exactly.
I don't know. I've always liked building things. That's kind of been one constant thing that I've always liked since high school. Is I've just like making things, and I started a year or two ago watching a bunch of YouTube videos of. I found out that the maker movement is a thing.
Oh yeah.
I've just been binging a bunch of those different channels, just making all kinds of things. I just sort of pick up little things along the way, and I don't know. I just like to make things on occasion.
Yeah.
Don't really have an answer for you.
Is that all stuff that was sort of self-taught?
Yeah, I never really took a class or anything.
Even the welding?
Oh yeah, that was self-taught. I mean, my dad had a welder, and he passed on a little bit of stuff to me, but it was mostly self-taught.
I would love to have a welder.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd love to know how to use one.
Yeah,
first,
exactly.
Though, you know? How's the bus going? I've watched actually a few of the videos of the bus you got.
It's going. I tried this whole daily video thing for the past couple of weeks, and it's actually slowing me down quite a bit, but it's still going.
So how did the bus project even come about?
I mean, that one's pretty easy. I wanted to build a bus.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man.
And then you saw a bus.
Yeah. I mean, I had the idea a long time ago of converting a school bus to half car hauler, half living quarters.
Uh-huh.
When I was at my last house, I didn't have space to store a bus, so I built a homemade truck camper. And now I have space for a bus, so I bought a bus, and I'm working on it.
I like your attitude, Robert. It's like, I want to do it, I'll do it. That's as simple as it gets.
A lot of my decisions are driven by emotion, which could be a bad thing, but
no, I think it's usually better. That's what I like to say.
Yeah, you have a whole channel behind your emotion now.
Yeah, exactly.
Once you're finished with it, are you gonna take it on a road trip or?
The main purpose of the bus is to do the actual build. That's the part that's really exciting to me. I haven't given much thought to what I'm going to do with it when I'm done with it.
No, okay.
I think I'm definitely going to use it to pick up new cars whenever I get new cars. But aside from that, it'll just be kind of around in case I need an RV or I need to haul cars.
So mostly it's like, I made this.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Now what?
Do you have any other projects in mind?
Yeah, I've got a few. Like I said, I want to buy a second Trabant. I've got a Patreon goal for doing a Wartburg swap into it. The Wartburg was the other East German car that you could buy. It was the police car or for government officials or lawyers or higher ranking people. And it had a 50 horsepower engine. So more than double what's in the Trabant. This would be a period correct engine swap.
Would you put it into your current Trabant or second Trabant?
No, second Trabant. I want to keep my current Trabant as it is since I spent all the time rebuilding the engine and everything.
Yeah. Is it running well now?
It's running great, yeah.
Cool. Because the last video I saw was before the engine rebuild, where you had 2 holes in the engine or something.
Yeah, the exhaust manifold was loose, and I thought it was 2 holes coming out of the back because I'm stupid. But yeah, wasn't doing well.
So I saw that you used to own a Porsche 944.
Mm-hmm. That was my first kind of interesting car, yeah.
How was the ownership like that? And like the whole ownership? Did you enjoy it or?
Yeah, I eventually got bored of it, but it was extremely trouble-free. This is going to sound stupid, but it was extremely trouble-free except for the times that I had troubles with it.
Yeah.
There was the DME relay, which was the fuel pump relay. It had a tiny fault in it, so I had to resolder that. Before I figured out that was the problem, it would just cut out randomly, and it took me months to figure out what that problem was. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it was an interesting car to own. It was pretty engaging. The suspension pretty soft considering what car it was. And it was kind of wallowy.
Is the 944? Is that the V8 one?
That's the 4-cylinder one.
That's a 4-cylinder. Okay, and the 5-speed, correct?
Yeah, 5-speed.
Okay.
They also made them with a 3-speed automatic. My mom had one.
Oh
of those.
wow, really?
Oh.
I can't. It's a totally different car.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Long gears.
Because I think I actually once drove a 944, and this was like when I just started driving. I play golf, and then the driving range we used to go to, the owner there had it, and he was sitting there for sale. And my dad, he was just like, "I'll pay you $4,000 for this, if you sell it to me." He didn't want $4,000 for it; he wanted a little bit more. But he's like, "Why don't you guys go take it for a joyride?" So I drove it, and that was the first time I drove a car without any power steering. And
it was a manual steering car.
Yeah, it was a manual steering too, and with a 5-speed that would not cooperate with you. Like you had to be very sure what gear you were in.
Real sloppy, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that was my first experience with like what I'd like to say like a real car,
Yeah.
Because these days cars are so like easy to drive.
They are. I mean, the 944 was not easy to drive, but also not easy to drive in bad ways.
Yeah.
The shifter had a lot of slop in it because the way they designed it wears incredibly easily, and the steering was hard to move, but that's just because it had manual steering. And there were some characteristics about the engine that made it kind of sluggish. It wasn't bad in the best ways.
Yeah.
In any sense.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, the M3 of mine has kind of skewed me into believing that I just drive like a machine. That's pretty much it.
Yeah,
it's a great car. Don't get me wrong, but it just gets me a very, very disconnected feeling.
Yeah. That's what I like about the Fiesta. It's a brand new. Well, I say brand new. It's a 6-year-old car that feels pretty connected, given that it has electric power steering and everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe I should just go American, completely different.
Trading your scalpel for a hammer.
Yeah, exactly. I really wanted to get the new Charger Hellcat wide body, which is like completely on the other end of the spectrum from the M3. So let's see. Maybe I could just do maybe look up a weird car and do that just to entertain myself more.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as it's reasonably new, then.
Yeah.
Never mind. I was going to say there's not much you can lose. You could lose a lot of money.
But the experience you get,
Yeah.
All right. That's about all we have for you, Robert. Thanks so much for being on our show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thanks for making the content you do, because honestly, nobody else does it.
Opened my eyes to Trabants and other weird things.
I wish I could do more obscure cars, but they're obscure for a reason. So,
is there anything you would like our audience to know about your channel or your second channel?
Not really. Just watch them.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't checked out his channel, go check it out. It's Aging Wheels and under Dunn, under DUNN.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe we'll have you on again sometime once you get your collection increases.
Yeah.
It hasn't increased in a while. Maybe I can get to that soon.
When the bus is done, when the Wabont is done.
When the bus is done, so 5 years from now.
Well, pencil us in.
Right.
All right. Thanks so much for being on.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks
Appreciate
so much.
it.
Thank you for having me on.